The Liberals in the budget say they protected pharmacare and dental care. Do you think that the measures in the budget go far enough for you to support it?
It's a mixed budget. There's some good things, high-speed train, for example, but nothing for public transit in cities. On the healthcare, we were asking for more investment. We got like $5 billion to work with the province. That's something, but no expansion of pharmacare. So there's a disappointment there.
So would you vote for it?
Leaning.
Yeah, like for, against, abstain. What's going through your mind?
Okay, we just had a meeting and good discussions, frank discussions, and also the fact that now we have the luxury of time. We are not sitting next week. We are go back in our ridings and we will talk to people, listen to people, and talk to stakeholders and groups and organizations. So we'll be back.
So a decision hasn't been made? Oh, so a decision hasn't been made?
Oh, no, not yet. We need to listen to people because we receive mixed messages right now, and we have to figure out what our constituents and the people we represent, what they want.
And are you planning to make a decision as a group or individually?
As a group.
As a group.
Okay. Monsieur Boulerice, juste en français par rapport au budget d'abord, là, est-ce qu'il y a une décision qui a été prise au sein de votre caucus sur comment vous allez voter?
On a eu une bonne discussion. Il y a certaines choses qui sont bonnes dans ce budget-là, notamment le projet de TGV, 5 milliards en santé. Il y a des choses qu'on avait demandées, qu'on a obtenues. Il y a des grandes coupures dans les services publics. Il n'y a rien pour le transport en commun. C'est vraiment très décevant. Sur l'environnement, c'est une catastrophe. Donc, on a décidé de prendre le temps, parce qu'on a le temps. La semaine prochaine, le Parlement ne siège pas. On va retourner dans nos circonscriptions. On va écouter les citoyens, les groupes, puis on va voir un peu qu'est-ce qu'ils nous disent comme message.
Puis je veux vous entendre sur la victoire de Zohran Mamdani à New York. Quel message est-ce que ça envoie à votre parti? Est-ce qu'il y a des leçons à tirer de ça?
Bien, c'était une bonne nouvelle. Je pense que ça fait du bien à beaucoup de monde à gauche. Et c'est aussi la preuve que la gauche peut gagner, malgré la morosité ou la montée des fois de l'extrême droite puis du trumpisme aux États-Unis qui est partout. C'est d'être audacieux, de s'assumer, d'avoir des positions qui sont claires puis franches, puis mobiliser la jeunesse. Ça peut gagner.
Pensez-vous que tous les néo-démocrates vont partager les mêmes conclusions suite à cette victoire? Est-ce qu'on va choisir du pragmatisme? Pas tellement. Pensez-vous que tout le monde interprète ça de la même façon que vous, finalement?
Je pense qu'on peut être à la fois audacieux, s'assumer qu'on est des socialistes, des sociodémocrates, des écologistes, puis en même temps être pragmatique. Si on veut gagner les élections, si on veut gagner le pouvoir, si on veut gouverner, il faut toujours être pragmatique.
How much sway do union leaders have on how the NDP are going to vote on the budget?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
How much sway do union leaders have in influencing the vote?
They represent more than 3 million Canadians. So this is, of course, historically and right now, a group that we are listening to. Bea Bruss, the president of the CLC, was our meeting this morning, and we'll continue to have discussions with her.
Do you think this budget goes far enough to address affordability needs of Canadians?
It's a big disappointment there's nothing about, grocery prices. Mr. Carney said that he will be judged by citizens on the price of grocery, and we saw nothing in that budget. So it's a big disappointment.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chris, have you just on the budget? Are you going to expect your members to vote for this? What if they abstain?
Well, we had a very good discussion today at caucus about it. We had a chance to go through the budget in more detail. I can tell you that we have a lot of serious concerns about this budget as we look into it in more detail. A lot of questions sort of emerge from it because the budget's low on a lot of details. And so we're going to be consulting stakeholders and seeking answers to some of those questions as we deliberate moving forward.
Very welcome. I mean, I've known Chris for quite a number of years, and I think he's made a good decision for him, also for us. I think it's been a good thing. I'm reminded of Scott Bryson saying that he hadn't left the Conservative Party had left him. And so that's in my head today, is that he belongs with us.
Thanks, Mr. Oliphant. Can I get your reaction to the budget's immigration plan?
Well, the immigration plan levels numbers were also just tabled after the budget as well, so I'll sort of roll my comments all into one. Effectively, the government is doubling down on the reduction in the immigration levels numbers. This has huge implications for Canadians. I know that the Liberal government like to blame newcomers for the housing crisis, but the reality, of course, the housing crisis is a result of successive Liberal and Conservative failed housing policies. With that being said, what we saw in the immigration what we saw in the budget related to the immigration levels plans is that the government has rejigged the numbers with the economic stream, with other streams, such as family reunification, with refugees, with international students, and so on. And really, they're signaling very clearly from the government's perspective who's deserving and who's not deserving. Family reunification, as we saw today in the immigration levels plan itself, they are saying parents, grandparents who've been waiting to reunite with their loved ones are actually going to be out of luck. They have actually cut those numbers by half. And already in the last couple of years, we already saw parents and grandparents not able to submit applications for the draw. And now, even those in the draw, they're going to have to wait even longer to try and reunite with their loved ones. I've talked to families where they are waiting to reunite with their loved ones, where their parent or grandparent has passed. So this is not going to become a reality for them anytime soon, as though parents and grandparents, really the value of them being with their family members is not really something the government is prioritizing.
Sorry, go ahead, keep going.
Sorry, and then on the refugee side, what we're seeing, of course, is the government significantly cutting down on the refugee numbers, whether it's government-sponsored refugees or privately sponsored refugees. And so really what we're saying to the global community at a time when there is an increase in displacement and crises in the global community, the refugees that once upon a time were able to look to Canada for some support is now further going to be out of luck. And again, on the privately sponsored refugees piece is particularly disturbing because these are Canadians who's opened up their hearts and their wallets to support refugee families. They're willing to sponsor them. And already with the wait list, people are waiting 3-4 years to get their applications processed. Now with the reduction in numbers, they're further going to be out of luck, putting people's lives in jeopardy.
How would you describe this new levels plan?
The levels plan is disappointing, to say the least. The government, in fact, our economy rely on newcomers. There is a significant reduction for international students. For example, international students' numbers have been reduced from the height of 230,000 to now over to some 80,000, and now to less than 60,000 to 60,000. And so that is a significant reduction, and we have seen the fallout of that and will continue to see the fallout of that. What's happened with university and colleges is that they're actually shutting down programs. They are cutting professors and instructors where they have now lost their job. Students are not able to get into programs and the programs that they wish to get into. That would actually jeopardize our human resources. Students is not just, I should just rephrase that, the contributions from international students is important for the global community and the global talent. Canada, once upon a time, said, we want you to come to Canada. We want you to look at Canada as your permanent home. Not only have we shut that door, we're also impacting negatively domestic students. Domestic students are now not going to have the kind of programming that's offered to them. University and colleges, as a result of the loss of funding from international students, are seeing closures of classrooms and schools itself, of the institutions themselves. So that is having a significant negative impact for Canadians. In terms of temporary foreign workers, I still remember the time when the government said we need to bring temporary foreign workers over and we will use them and abuse them because they will come in without full status and they'll be subject to exploitation. In fact, they took jobs during COVID and risked their lives for Canadians. They put food on the table for Canadians. Now, after all that is said and done, we're blaming them for the housing crisis and we're shutting the doors. And so many of the temporary foreign workers who are already here in Canada, who's already contributed, they will actually have no path forward. The last piece that I want to add into that as well are temporary foreign workers that is classified under the economic stream. These are caregivers. These These are people who come over to take care of our families. They take care of Canadian families, of their children, of seniors, of people with disability, and they have waited for a very long time to get permanent resident status. And that door is also shutting on them because the government is also reducing the economic pilot streams impacting caregivers. I think that's unconscionable. These are the people that we trust with the most important people in our lives, our own children, our loved ones. And yet, when it comes to them being fairly treated, they're not. And they will not be able to access permanent resident status anytime soon.
And just lastly, how, what went through your mind when you saw those level numbers?
You know, to say I'm disappointed is probably an understatement. I have to say I feel really sad about it. You know, I'm a Canadian. I want everyone to be treated fairly and equitably. I want people to be treated with respect. The people who contribute to Canada should be treated with respect and should be treated fairly. And not just when it's convenient for the Canadian economy, but it should be at all times. Those are the principles that my mom taught me, that no matter what and how tough the times, you treat people fairly and you treat them equitably. But we're not doing that. We are tossing people away. When we feel like we don't need them anymore, when they're no longer an advantage to Canada, that's what these immigration levels plan speak to. And I feel really sad about that.
Okay, thanks so much for taking the time, Jenny. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.